Hey folks, Dr. Rowe. Just thought I'd squeeze in a quick live, end of the day. I know some of you might be busy watching some other stuff, so good luck with whatever you're watching at the moment. I'm about to go and put my kids to bed, just cook some dinner and came out to the garden here because I want to talk about a subject which is really topical at the moment, particularly with COVID-19, which is why I put it in the title, and specifically a lot of people looking for alternatives to make money. Now look, this is a field I've been in for a long time, and I started my first, depends what you classify as what age, because I remember setting up at school, and I'm talking about, it was a tuck shop. We set up a mini tuck shop when I was in my teens, sometime in my mid-teens, I guess, where we would buy in Twixes and Twirls. God, I don't even eat that stuff anymore, but all the chocolatey stuff, marathons as they used to be called, and we set up a little tuck shop at school. The school let us do it. We'd buy it in, sell it, make some profit, give some back to the school, etc., and keep a little bit ourselves. So if I think about it entrepreneurially, I was in that place for many, many years. I was inspired, however, last week on our podcast that I do with Harminder Tour, the Growth Tribes podcast, to interview a young man. Well, I say young, he's 34 years of age, so he's 20 years younger than me, who started his first business or got involved in doing something from a business perspective at 11 years of age, so maybe a little bit sooner than I did. Mine was probably, 13, 14 or whatever age I was when we did the tuck shop at school. But the thing is this, hi Brenden, nice to see you, is the question that's coming up a lot. I need to talk to Brenden actually. By the way, anyone watching, Brenden McCormick, who's just watching now, runs the most amazing AV company and has done for many years all of my live events. And we've got him locked in to do my next CWI event, Communicating with Impact event, which will happen, albeit it's going to probably be slid back because of COVID, but we're committed to doing it. So yeah, thanks for coming on, Brenden. And if anyone at some stage wants to get a great AV team, just let me know because I can give you his details. Anyway, back to what I was saying. So having been in this game for many, many years, AV install, brilliant. The main concern that I'm seeing at the moment is, I'm excited by it, but I just want to share with you because I've been doing this a long time, is people are all of a sudden saying, what do we do? We've got a business that's face to business, face to client, business to client, etc. Can't do that, need to go online. And all of a sudden there's people going, right, I'm going to set up an online business, and we're seeing a myriad of people going online at the moment, promoting and selling what I think is essentially a get-rich-quick type model for making money online. I can tell you now, it is not that fucking easy. Excuse the language, but having been faced in front of audiences for 30 years and sold stuff online, digital products, audio products, coaching, etc., I've made a lot of money selling stuff online and offline over the years, and that's not my speciality, by the way, but I just want to share with you that I've had the experience of doing it. One thing I can tell you for sure is it's not as simple as saying I'm just going to record something and then just flog it online. And what a lot of people make the mistake of believing is because they have their friends tell them, yeah, great idea, you've got really good content, you're amazing doing this, you're amazing at doing that, yeah, you should do it, I'll buy it. And it's a bit like somebody buying your first book. You'll get an initial flurry. It's like setting up anything online. You get an initial flurry and then it will dip off if you don't have a system to build up to it. And I've discovered that myself. I mean, if you go back and look on YouTube, I've got YouTube videos that go back 12, 14, 15 years. My social media team, B Street, who are working with me closely, they found stuff from me from years ago with like 25, 30,000 viewings, but I wasn't consistent. So I went out at that time, did YouTube videos because I was passionate about it, didn't really think about commercializing it or anything like that, and I didn't keep it up. Now, had I kept that up, I would have this huge funnel of followers that have been attracted to what I've done online over the years. And this whole concept of a business funnel that feeds into ultimately the products that you're offering, and most people don't understand it, or if you understand the concept, you don't understand how to implement it. So my challenge has always been, I've been top heavy, meaning I've got very strong products at the back end. So like, as I said, we've got Brenden on tonight who's come to several of those and worked the AV for us on those, the turning point events, the relationship events, the health events, the communicate with impact, all that stuff. And that would then sell up into something else. We'd have another product, a great service that we'd offer people face to face. But what I didn't have is the front end marketing for that. I just had a following, a database, connections, affiliates, referrals, and that's how we did it. But of course, if you're now thinking, well, like, you know, we're doing this ourselves at the moment, we're just expanding on what we've already built. If you're thinking, well, I've got a product, an idea, a book, an ebook, an audio program, whatever, I'd like to put together. That's one thing, by the way, even creating that. And then I'm going to sell it. There needs to be stages to this funnel. And so if you're thinking of doing it, fantastic. I don't want to piss all over your parade and say don't do it. But what I want you to be is realistic in the sense that it's one thing to create a product. Like I've got 2 products to create in the next month, essentially. And this is just, well, actually there's multiple products, but 2 that have a deadline for sort of June period. And those products walk into a funnel. Now that's a funnel that's created by somebody else, not my own product, not my own funnel. So these are people that have established a following. They've already got marketing behind it. They have a funnel for that product. They just need somebody that can provide value to their clients. If you're doing it for yourself, you've got to think about how that's going to be. Now, I know people talk about Amazon and all this stuff. I'm going to sell my book on Amazon, etc. But the reality is it's not as simple as that, because you stick your book on Amazon, you know, there'll be an initial flurry of sales, as I discovered when I wrote mine years ago, my first book, and then it kind of dies off. And then if you're out in front of the audiences and if you're in public space and marketing, people get to know who you are. So digital online business is a skill. It takes mastery, it takes a lot of analytics, and on top of which the market is changing all the time. For example, Facebook has changed their rules just recently, where 6-12 months ago you could have advertised for wealth and health and money and how to save money and how to, you know, learn about the first 5 steps to becoming a successful property investor, whatever it is. You can't actually go do that now on Facebook. They'll even shut you down, or they'll stop your marketing strategies. And Harminder, who's just jumped on, who you'll hear him talk about this in a podcast that we just did last week. These are some of the challenges that we're now facing, is the way even you get your message out there is being restricted, it's being strangled in the industry, or in the social media industry. So people are changing and jumping ships to different ways to market themselves. So we put on the podcast last week a gentleman that's been doing this for many, many years. He explained, I won't go into detail, but you'll just go to growthtribes.com. Oh, thank you. Harmon has just done it there. growthtribes.com/podcast. Look at that. He's jumped on and picked up on it. So when we did the interview, the purpose of the interview was to get him to talk us through a templated model, something that anyone brand new can actually listen to and identify where their gaps are. So it has, I think it's got 5 steps. Hamida will give me a thumbs up if I've got that right. There's 5 stages to this model. And what I loved about it is, as you listen to the way he describes it, and by the way, he started doing this many, many years ago when I think he got an MBA in business. He was off traveling, went to Nepal, various places around the world, and had created an online product, I think to do with Chinese, online English tutorials or whatever it is, lessons or products to people in Chinese or vice versa. I can't remember now. But in order to keep the revenue going, he decided he wanted to travel across Asia but still have the revenue going and be off the grid. And that's how he developed this system, which he's now works closely with, and Harminder works very closely in their business there. So, and you know, I want you to listen to this, because the nice thing about the podcast is it's just a black and white set of questions that I'm asking, although I know a lot of it from having had them work with me and having social media specialists like Harminder and his team and this gentleman that we interviewed come and work with me personally. I wanted to ask the question on behalf of somebody that's brand new, that's excited, that wants to do it. Maybe you're an osteopath, maybe you're a physiotherapist, maybe you're a property investor, maybe you're a stock market trader, maybe you are a teacher, maybe you've got a skill set, maybe you're a coach or a mentor, and you want to get this knowledge, this experience out into the online world. There are some major freaking businesses. I mean, I'm not going to go into the names of them, but it's companies that I've worked with for a few years who, if they jumped onto this 2, 3, 4 years ago when we were discussing it even back then, when the changes happened that have just happened, it would have been a natural transition. Look at how many of the big property, wealth, education companies, trading companies, and all these people now who have traditionally, even personal development, people like Tony Robbins and all of that, who, and myself included, you know, we have had face-to-face businesses for many, many years. And yes, some of us have migrated online at different levels, but everyone's being forced to take that online now, and it's really down to that system that you use to funnel into your business. So if you think of it like this, if you're selling face-to-face coaching or mentoring direct with somebody, that is your premium product. You can't just go and sell that, because that could be a 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, depending on how you market your product, depending on what the product sale is, straight out to the marketplace. You might get a couple of people that know you that say, yeah, I'm going to buy this product, fantastic. I've known you for a decade, and you think fantastic. And then you go out there and suddenly the business dries up. There's nothing that feeds that. I reviewed a 5-page document today where the team have done an assessment on a couple of the products that I have. And what we're clear on now is there's 2 gaps in this model that we talk about on the podcast. That's fantastic, because I can look at those gaps and say, I can fill those relatively quickly. I have a lot of one part of the model, but I'm having gaps in the other part of the model. So if you've got a premium product you want to sell, how are you going to get enough people to buy your product? And the challenge you've got is, if you put 1,000 people in front of you and they don't know you, and then you go, right, I'm going to sell you a coaching program or a mentoring program or a 20-week or half a year or 6-month education program that's going to get you to trade the market, buy property, start a business, sell widgets, whatever. The challenge with this is they don't know you. Yes, they do. They saw me on a Facebook page. It doesn't matter. They don't know you, meaning they don't really know the depth of your knowledge. So when you go, and here's my product, it's £500, £1,000, which will not sell online easily, by the way, unless you've got a bloody good credibility. So you stood there thinking, what have I done wrong? And it's not that you haven't done anything wrong, it's the process that you've done wrong. Okay, let me rephrase it. It's the process that you've set up to get them to that stage. In other words, you haven't whet their appetite. It's like walking past an Indian restaurant. You walk past it once, it smells good. And then 3 nights later, you're walking by with your girlfriend and you're, God, that smells good, but not tonight, honey. And then you walk past the restaurant again, you see a whole bunch of people going in there. You look at the menu, you think, and then you grab the takeaway menu and you take it away with you. And maybe that's the 3rd or 4th time. And then another time you're driving by and you happen to pop off to a shop next door, and as you walk, you look in the mirror and it's packed and you think, shit, this restaurant looks really good. That's 5 or 6 times, maybe 7 times before you decide to go to the restaurant. People need that to buy your products from you. So that comes from another part of the funnel. The funnel is like this. It's basically huge at the top, where loads of people are looking at you and going and smelling the restaurant curry smell from your business. And then right at the bottom of the funnel, it's tiny, which is where your premium product is. And you've got to find a way to bring them down through that funnel to a point where they go, I want to buy your product. I want to keep coming buying your product. And by the way, I've got some friends that I think should buy your product, but let me introduce them to the top of your funnel. Oh, you haven't got the top of your funnel. Well, I don't think they're going to spend £1,000 having coaching with you, Dr. Rowe. If they could look some of your free stuff, if they could follow some of your material that you've done before, or, I'll show them some of your stuff. But have you got anything they can just test to start with to build up that trust? Well, just refer them. I mean, if that's your attitude, yeah, but they don't want to pay that money until they trust you. So it's like, give them a taste of the curry, give them a papadum or something like that, so they get a sense of what the business is about. I think I saw Raj just come online earlier on. He'll know all about this. And actually, I know good people that have owned restaurants in the past, and that's what they've done. So there's these 5 stages, and Harminder's confirmed that if you look on there. There's 5 stages to this funnel. And you've got to be prepared, and this is the challenge, is you've got to know what your ultimate product is over here. And then, if the whole of the product is this, right? So let me just step back here for a minute. If you're coming to the table with a massive plate full of food, then you've got to work backwards like this. And then you're going to give them this much to start with, and it's lots of little bits. It's like me coming to the restaurant and walking in with my friend who's getting his meal, and then while you're there serving me, you say, oh, hello, nice to meet you, Dr. Weiss. Let me just, how about you try a bit of this, or try a little bit of this, and have a little bit of a papadum, and these are our chicken wings, and have half a biryani, or whatever, have half a samosa. And you go, very nice. And then you go away, and then you take a little bit home to your wife, your husband. So the full plate is what you're offering them at the end. But for them to want to buy the full 5-course meal, they need to at least know what you're offering up front as a taster. Now, in between that, you've got to find out a way for the taster, for them to be enough to go, oh shit, let me just try a bit more of this. Or they go, nah, you know what, don't really like that. How many times have you done this in a restaurant where you've tried something, or you tried somebody's a takeaway, like a pizza takeaway? Let me have a try that. Oh, that's not very good. So now you've got premium here, and then you've got free over here. And in between this, it's knowing how to price these stages and what content to give people. Give me a thumbs up or something if this is making any sense, by the way. Brendan's going to order a curry. Excellent, man. And he's sat around and had a few dishes with us at our events. I mean, this goes to something for Brendan as well. I mean, we've got an AV specialist who's arguably one of the best in the country here. So if he wants to get his message out there, somehow he's got to produce something or show people what he does. Some tips to start with on how to set up. Here's a classic example, right? On how, Brendan's top tips on how to set up an event to get the best sound quality. And we did this with him when he came to a live event. So he creates something simple and free for people. And they go, I like this guy. Maybe he's got some other material he can share with me. And then it could be something else like, okay, how to set up the sound, how to get your lighting right, how to choose your AV person, all of this. This is like a 2-hour product or whatever it is, and it's fairly low cost. And now he's got something in the middle. And then finally there's possibly one stage, and then the offering of coming and working with him. So that's the biggest challenge. It's always been my challenge. It's because for me, I want to give as much value as I can. And the problem is, if I give them the full meal up front here, then I've got nothing to give them over here. But if I don't give them enough over here, I won't get them interested. And the problem with giving them the full meal too early is that it might be too much of an overwhelm. And this is a challenge I found over in the past is, in the early days, I would give so much up front over here that people would go, oh my gosh, I need to go and process this. Whereas it's like feeding we got birds, and you can hear birds in the back of the garden here, right? So if I've got a pigeon over there, and I've got a loaf of bread here, what I don't want to do is throw the loaf of bread at the pigeon. I know the pigeon wants the loaf of bread, but if I throw it, it's going to fly away. That's like giving them your premium product up front. Whereas if I take the bread and I break it up into crumbs, and then I start to sprinkle some of those breadcrumbs over here, it starts to get a flavour. And I put a little bit more, bigger chunks, until finally maybe the whole loaf is over there. So that's the principle. And we spent nearly 2 hours doing this interview, and it was great. There's some really good content in it. So if you get a chance, Harminder might confirm it for me. I think this particular podcast is coming out next week, I believe. So look out for that. Just go to growtribes.com and you'll see, I don't know if I can scroll back down again. Where is it? I'm in to put it up there. growtribes.com/podcast, and look for the one that's online business. I think it's 20 something now, however many we've done. So hopefully that's helpful to you. I think the main message at this stage I want to share with you is and I'm having exactly that tonight. Tonight was going to be getting into some product creation. I have a marketing strategy meeting tomorrow, and that meeting will be making sure that on what I'm about to produce is not the too much content for that particular stage of the funnel. So that's the biggest challenge. So what a lot of creators do, and that's my nature, is we jump in and we try and create the product, and then afterwards try and work out what marketing needs to be done for that product to be sold. And that's the nature of anybody that's either a speaker, a creator, or a business ideas person, whatever. And there's nothing wrong with that, because we get into our flow as creators. But the problem you've got then is if you go to the marketing team, they're going to go, I wish you'd come to us first. We would have said, simplify that product, take some of that content, put it over here, and then that becomes the part of your next product. So don't think create product first, think marketing first, and work backwards in the reverse funnel. Decide what you want to offer at one end, i.e. your premium end, and then work backwards from that to know what you need to create to get into that funnel. Now, I'm giving you a very broad stroke here in this quick live, but I do encourage you to come and have a listen to this, because it's a free podcast, so why wouldn't you want to come and have a listen to it? And I think, if I'm right, on that podcast, Harminder might confirm if he's still online, but I've got a funny feeling that part of the podcast is included brand new research that's not been published yet in the media or anywhere, with 250 different ways to make money from home or online in the current marketplace. And this is brand new research that they've been doing over the last 3 weeks. Even I'm looking to have a look at that, because I think it's fantastic, and they probably need to turn that into a product in its own right. But they're giving away this list at the moment free, so look out for that in a couple of weeks. Anyway, give me a thumbs up if this has helped in some way. I think it should be inspirational. The intention is not to put you off or piss you off. In fact, if anything, it's to say to you, every single one of you, and my dear friend as well, Brenden, who's watching at the moment, 300 different ways now. Oh my gosh, you got up to 300 different ways. That's incredible. Every one of you has amazing content inside you. Every one of you has the ability to write a book, create an audio, to give something of value. I promise you that. I promise you, I promise you, I promise you. Part of my mission in this world is to show you how to communicate that across. And you know, I'm not here to promote the CWI event because it's not coming up at the moment. We're going to move that back, and we will have it coming up shortly, and you'll see some promotion for that. That's not the point of this live. The point of the live is to say to you, you have it inside you, but before you go creating it, understand the process to get it out to the marketplace. And imagine in a couple of years' time, if you've got products that are selling, and while you're asleep, they're bringing you in 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 80 quid, 100 quid, whatever. It's a fantastic feeling. And I honestly believe you have the ability to do that. So at least start that journey by coming and listening to this on the podcast. And in the meantime, I better go to bed. Sorry, I better go and put my kids to bed because I got some stuff to do myself this evening. It's Dr. Rose signing out. Have an amazing evening. And Brenden, enjoy your curry. And Harminder, thanks for dropping up a couple of notes there. See you all soon.